Thank you for staying with us. The World News at 6 begins with the House of Representatives deciding to conduct an investigation into a technical malfunction that reportedly affected the outcomes of the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination administered by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board. Well, the decision was made during the plenary session today, following the approval of a motion of urgent public significance put forth by a representative from Osun State, Adewale Adebayo. The UTME is an annual assessment organized by JAMB for students aspiring to gain admission into higher education institutions in Nigeria, such as universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. This examination is a vital milestone for numerous Nigerian students as their performance determines their eligibility for further education. In recent years, JAMB has shifted the UTME format from paper-based to computer-based testing to improve efficiency and minimize malpractice. However, concerns have emerged regarding technical difficulties encountered by candidates during the examinations, which includes network outages, login issues, and system errors. The reported technical malfunction in the 2025 UTME has now captured the attention of lawmakers, leading the House of Representatives to commence an inquiry. The investigation aims to identify the underlying causes of the malfunction and propose measures to avert similar incidents in the future. Meanwhile, the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, has recently reacted to the controversy which rocked the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. Ishaq Oloyede, the JAMB registrar, admitted errors in the just concluded UTME, which affected 206,610 candidates. 65 centres in Lagos were affected, and 92 centres in Owerri zone, comprising of 173,387 candidates in the 5 states of the southeast. He said what should have been a moment of joy has changed due to 1 or 2 errors. He admitted, however, that all machineries were in order. Regardless, there were still errors. Oloyede, who took responsibility for what he described as a sabotage of the 2025 UTME, said the affected candidates would actually get text messages from the board starting today. He also stated that affected candidates will now have the opportunity to retake the examination between May 16 and May 19, 2025. Reacting to the statement, Mr. Peter Obi urged JAMB and similar critical bodies to adopt comprehensive quality assurance frameworks, adding that these includes rigorous testing, constant auditing of technical infrastructure. He noted that while JAMB's swift response and willingness to own up to its shortcomings are worthy of recognition, the incident has brought to light a far more troubling reality. According to the former Anambra State Governor, the emotional and psychological toll on students and even parents, some of whom have reportedly suffered severe trauma and in heartbreaking cases even death, serves as a reminder of what is at stake. In a recent move by the House of Rep, a bill proposing mandatory voting in elections for eligible voters in Nigeria has scaled second reading at the House of Representatives. The bill, which is sponsored by the Speaker of the House, Tajuddin Abbas, and Daniel Ago, passed the second reading stage after an extensive debate on Thursday. Ago, who led the debate during plenary, said the bill aimed to encourage citizens' participation in the electoral process. According to the lawmaker, voter apathy during elections will be addressed if the bill scales legislative scrutiny. Despite passing the second reading, a People's Democratic Party lawmaker from Akwa Ibom State, Mark Esset, said enacting a law to make voting compulsory is not enough to sanitize the electoral system. According to him, he said, and I quote, "Let us not put something on nothing. If citizens have lost confidence in the electoral system, there is a lot of work to be done. Many Nigerians do not vote during elections because they believe that their votes will not count. If we must make a law to make voting compulsory, we must also make another one to make their votes count." End quote. Moving on to Kogi State, a particular situation has occurred where suspected gunmen abducted a first-class traditional ruler, Oba James Dada Ogunyonda, throwing the entire Yagba West local government area into pandemonium. The abduction of the monarch took place in the early hours of Thursday. Speaking to correspondents, an eyewitness disclosed that heavily armed men stormed the monarch's palace in Okoloke, a serene community in Yagba West local government area, at around 2 a.m. The assailants overpowered palace guards and forcefully whisked the king away to an unknown location. The kidnappers are yet to make contact, nor have they issued any ransom service program. It also disclosed, however, that the federal government inaugurating a reform committee is to initiate a comprehensive overhaul of the National Youth Service Corps. The Minister of Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, said the reform is aimed at strengthening the scheme structure, relevance and impact. Olawande stated that the reform would align the scheme more closely with national development goals and the evolving needs of Nigerian youth. The inauguration ceremony, which was held at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja last week, was attended by key stakeholders from government, civil society and the private sector. In his address, the minister emphasized the vital role the NYSC has played in fostering national unity and youth development since its inception in 1973. Olawande noted how APC reports that the 30 defectors, 27 have joined the APC from the PDP, Labour Party, African Democratic Congress and the New Nigerian People's Party. The plenary was attended by the APC National Chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, who expressed his support for the defectors. The latest defection comes barely 3 days after Kano State House of Assembly member representing Somalia constituency, Zubairu Hamza Masu, has defected to the All Progressives Congress as well. The former New Nigerian People's Party lawmaker defected during plenary on Monday. Maso, in his resignation letter addressed to the Speaker of the House, Right Honorable Ismail Falgore, blamed his defection on leadership crisis and many factions in the party. Maso, after the Speaker Falgore read his letter, pledged his total loyalty to the APC leadership at the ward, state and national level. In a very recent development, however, APC governors elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress have unanimously commended the performance of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, claiming that critics of the present administration have been put to shame by the landmark achievements of the government. The governors, who said that Tinubu has been vindicated, met behind closed doors in Abuja on Wednesday night to assess the performance of the government as it approaches its midterm mark in office on May 29. Among the 20 governors in attendance at the meeting were Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Muhammad Nasir Idris Kebbi, Dakwa Abiodun Ogun State, Monday Okpebolo Edo, Sheriff Oboweri Delta, Hyacinth Aliyah Benue, and Usman Udodo Kogi. The national chairman of the APC, Dr. Abdullahi Umaru Ganduje, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi, the Ministers of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, and Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, were also part of the meeting. The chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum and Governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, who briefed journalists after the meeting, said despite the criticism from the opposition bloc, President Tinubu has been vindicated by the praises from the international community over his positive reforms in Nigeria. He also disclosed, however, on discussions about the Supreme Court judgment which gave autonomy to the local government. Uzodinma said APC is a rule-driven political organization. You're currently listening to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into a news analysis segment where we get to dissect some of the stories read out on the World News at 6. Do kindly stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. This is still the world news at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido has revealed the key incident that caused a rift between the late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua and his predecessor Obasanjo, describing both across the Federation. A couple of intonations and colorations were added. For example, this affected 92 centers in the southeast, alright, and 64 centers in Lagos. And then a couple of persons were of the note that maybe this could be educational sabotage. For example, the Ohanese Indibo Youth Council were asking for 300 more scores to be added to candidates in the southeast. They say that it is better for that particular examination that was earlier carried on to be remarked rather than asking the students to resit the examination, rather than putting them through the mental and psychological stress they went into initially in rewriting these exams. And that is obvious that the organization may not actually be transparent in its dealings. In a very recent development, however, via a space, Fabian Benjamin was able to disclose what transpired and the fact that ethnic coloration doesn't actually play there. He expressed the unfortunate circumstance and used the opportunity to apologize. I want us to take a listen to Fabian Benjamin, the PRO of JAMB, explaining via X on social media as to what truly transpired and assuring Nigerians that there is no ethnic coloration, no educational sabotage, or any form of isolation towards the Southeasterners.
We begin to feel that night we couldn't sleep. We begin to feel some feelers that yes, there could be something wrong. And immediately, without even investigating to find out what could have been wrong, we summon all the parties concerned and stakeholders, whoever could come within the shortest possible time, so that we'll sit down together, because we believe that two or three good hairs are better than one. And we went through the whole 882 centers, center by center, marking both manual and electronics. And that was how we were able to fish out this thing. And what happened? It was just a case of, let me just situate it in this way, that somebody somewhere will let you down out of negligence and all this. And I want to believe that...
Barrister Friday Nzako, good evening and thank you for joining us today on the World News at 6. I sincerely do appreciate you joining us today. How are you, sir?
Very well, good evening.
Well, yes, thank you very much. I was just playing the space conversation that was had where the PRO of JAMB was trying to assure Nigerians, specifically those who felt that there was some ethnic coloration to the recently 2025 UTME examinations that was carried out. And one of the big questions is this: how well should the students prepare? On Friday and Saturday, they are to resit this examination. So the question, for example, for a person like Peter Obi, he's saying that agreed, Oloyede apologized and it...
Election of 2023 general election, Nigerians have on their own made a reference to such issue of technical glitch affecting the smooth running of the electoral process, which of course Nigerians have not forgotten in a hurry. And election is key to the political life of the people. Education is key to the personal and development life of the people as well. So I agree with him that such important institutions that have to do with lives of the people should not be allowed to mess up on account of technical glitches. Technology is meant to serve man and make life better and not to make life worse. The deployment of technology in Nigeria should not make life worse. After all, we should be ashamed that when we cannot even produce the technological gadgets and equipment, we should at least be able to deploy them for the betterment of our people. And not to, we don't produce, we don't maintain, and we cannot even deploy diligently. It simply tells you that a lot is not going well with the Nigerian environment. And we cannot lay accusations on technology for human errors that is anchored on lack of diligence, lack of consistency, and lack of transparency.
All right, Barrister Friday Nzako, do you remember the Minister of Education, Dr. Alausa? He made a statement when that happened, and Nigerians have berated him. He said that the reason why there was such a massive failure was because JAMB had implemented mechanisms to stop cheating, to stop the system from being induced, and so no longer nobody can induce or influence the result outcome, and that's why that massive failure was experienced. And this is basically one of the reasons why ethnic colorations came onto it. Because, for example, if you look at results from the Southeast, most times in mass examinations like this, there's a very good performance from that region. So literally from that statement, he made that statement and attributing it to seem like maybe in the past most results from that region were literally influenced or induced. But how do you think this situation with the apology of Isha Koleide makes the Minister of Education look like? Because he hasn't come out to retract his statement or also apologize for responding without waiting for proper investigation.
With due respect to the Honorable Minister for Education, he jumped into the fray too early without getting the facts correctly before addressing the people. His address to the people, his conclusion was very shameful because he tried to shift the blame to the students and to their parents, claiming that the students were not working hard enough. And because JAMB had blocked all the loopholes, therefore they were unable to cheat. In fact, he even tried to paint the administration in good light, trying to claim that administration is meant to uphold the integrity of education.
Exactly.
And that is why there is this much failure. And I think he should hide himself in shame and
hide himself in shame, or he should apologize. I mean, right now, admitting that you spoke too early.
He should hide himself in shame and come out to apologize to Nigerians before his face will be cleaned up. Because that statement has plastered a very dirty mark on his face. So the only thing that will clean up his face is to retract his statement, apologize to Nigerians, and give Nigerians the hope that he knows what he's doing. He's a medical doctor by profession and by training, and I guess he knows little or nothing about education. And that's why we keep saying that there's no need putting round pegs in square holes in this country. And the government should always know that a man cannot give what he does not have. That is how Buhari's administration went and put a newspaper columnist and Adamu for 8 years in Nigerian to head the Nigerian education as a minister. And the man came out put in charge. I could recall with nostalgia when Professor Bas Safunwa was minister for education and Nigeria was flying. I could recall with nostalgia when some other people who knew their onions in the education ministry, in the education sector, were in charge, and Nigeria was doing very well, even among the Committee of Nations. Education is a very serious business because any country that wants to move forward must take its education sector very seriously. It is not because here you just think you can just plug anybody from anywhere and dump him in the Ministry of Education. And at the end of the day, you get what you plant. What we are planting, you plant wheat. You cannot reap anything other than wheat. Nigeria must know that right people should man the right institutions. The one we usually say, round peg in round holes.
All
so
right.
that we get it right.
Barrister Fred Nzako, Yakubu Gowon has finally spoken. For a while he's been quiet. With the entire killing that took place in Plateau State, along that axis, Borno, all the axis where we've been experiencing serious military, serious non-state actors attack. He has been, mum. And Nigerians are wondering, this is the region this man comes from. Where are all the former retired generals who used to be very strong? Why are they quiet in this onslaught on civilians? What is going on with Nigeria's military that used to be the most feared? And why do they seem incapable of curbing insecurity or routing out these individuals? Atiku Abubakar does note that during his time, when he was a vice president during Obasanjo, they cleared out Boko Haram in less than 72 hours. And it was after they had left office that particular insurgency group regrouped and came up again. And he's saying that there is a lack of political will. Because of time, I would have played his reaction when he was addressing a group.
Was the one that came back and reneged on the Aburi Accord. And it was the federal troop that released the first shot against the Biafran soldiers. And all the things that happened then indicated that the one was not only weak as a leader, but was also allowed himself to be manipulated to annihilate, to lead an onslaught against the people of Southeast, where over 3 million people died in that war, men, women, and children of all ages. Followed the trajectory agreed in our body, we wouldn't be where we are today. So if anybody begins to point accusing finger at people who brought Nigeria to its knees today, the one should lead the pack of infidels that brought Nigeria to its knee. And today he is his voice. And of course, Theophilus Danjuma said that the people should fight for themselves. These are generals that you say they were glorious generals. But among them were people who did not play by the rules. In war, there are rules, even in international law.
True.
There are laws of war. And you don't hurt children and women. But in Nigerian case, not only did they kill children and women, they ripped the stomach, the tummy of pregnant women, all in a bid to be the scapegoat or used as guinea pigs. And the people have said, we have suffered enough on behalf of Nigeria, we don't want to suffer again. The smallest infraction in any city, the Igbos will get a branch. To the extent that even in civilian democracy, a high-ranking traditional ruler will say that the Igbos will be pushed into the lagoon. Even in this recent election, people came out to speak evil against the Igbos. In democracy, under democracy, in a civilian election, what does it tell you? It tells you that deep-rooted hatred is still there. And it is the duty of the leaders to cement the paper of the trust so that Nigeria will remain united. And we have brought a formula for unity of Nigeria. And I keep saying that only restructuring anchored on true fiscal federalism will save this country from all this myriad of issues that are bedeviling the country. Otherwise, the other options will be unthinkable.
Barrister Friday Nzako, thank you so much. I would have really loved to ask you a couple of questions because we still have a couple of things to look into that on the World News at 6. I sincerely do appreciate.